What would happen if you disappeared for 7 days starting now? No prep, no handover, just gone. Would your team still be able to keep things moving, or would the whole thing just come to a screeching halt? You see, most companies fail to scale not because of a lack of talent or business. I mean, you got to where you are in the first place because you're good at what you do. But they typically fail because they rely too heavily on one person, aka the founder. And if you're that person, well, you're not running a business, you're running a very stressful job. Well, today, we're going to fix that. Now, I'm going to walk you through on how to build a system-driven business, one that prepares you for the bright road ahead that you have planned for yourself. A business that is able to fully run without you. A business that finally gives you the peace of mind that you deserve. So, let's go. I realize I've been holding the pencil the wrong way the whole time. Now, if your business does not have a system, then you are the system. And without you in the mix to keep things chugging along, well, then it faces a bottleneck. Now, if you are like many of the scaling businesses that I had the pleasure of working with, you have this invisible addiction to being the glue. You find yourself picking every single sales call. Every customer issue, well, that's you too. Every quick fix, well, that's you again. And the scary part is, you think that you're being productive, but what you're actually doing deep down is protecting your own irrelevance. Because the moment you stop showing up, the whole system collapses. Why? Because there just isn't one to begin with. So how do we break out of this? Because let's be honest here. There comes a certain time in your growth where it shouldn't be your job to do the work anymore. Your job is to design the machine that does the work for you. The machine, you say? Well, that's made out of systems. So let's break it down. Every business has 4 core systems, typically. Marketing, sales, delivery, and operations. Yes, your CRM sits at the heart of this, but we'll get to that later on. Now, each of these functions should have a repeatable workflow. Not just tasks, but logic, triggers, outcomes, all of which helps you to get to where it is that you want to be. Think of your business like a restaurant. If the chef is the only one who knows the recipe, well, you don't have a business. You have pretty much a hostage situation.
Wallace is said to be despondent over the company's stock plummet and has taken a mailman hostage.
Now, I mentioned this in the past before, but it still surprises me that whenever we ask clients to outline their processes, we get met with blank stares. And I don't blame you, right? You have been so focused on getting things up and running, riding the momentum to get to where you are. But remember, everything that you haven't systemized, it pretty much runs and depends on you. So here's an exercise that we're going to do together. Grab a notepad, or better yet, open up a whiteboard software like Miro, and let's start by writing down every single reoccurring task that you do. Every fire that you put out, every decision that you have to make, every step that a function in your business has to take in order to deliver for your customers. Now ask yourself these 3 questions. Is there someone else in the team who can oversee this? Can we document the series of tasks for this process? And does an event trigger exist that could start this whole thing without me? Now, if the answer is yes to these questions, well then congratulations. You found yourself your first system to build. Okay, let's get into more specifics here. Let's say a lead comes through your website. Who gets notified? What's the follow-up process? Is this logged anywhere? Are the next steps and outcomes tracked? In a real system, well, this is all automatic. The CRM logs the lead, a sequence gets sent out, a pipeline gets updated, a Slack message gets sent out, someone picks it up. No more, hey, did you follow up with X, Y, and Z? Now that's the power of a CRM when it's part of a larger system. It's not a feature, not a tool, but a workflow that frees up your time. Now remember this, if more than one person owns a task, well then no one owns it, period. That's why every system in your business needs these 2 things. A system owner, this person is responsible for outcomes, and a process owner, this individual is responsible for execution. Now, you can't scale if everyone's sort of in charge of something. So write this down. What's the goal of this system? Who owns it? What metrics define success? What tools support it? And yes, the tool could be HubSpot, but let's just keep that our little secret. Now, the process owner typically is a member of your existing team. The sales, marketing, or ops managers, for example. Those responsible for getting the work or the team to execute on these tasks. Now, a system owner, on the other hand, often underlooked, would be someone we would like to call a systems champion. Now, this role could comfortably sit with the administrations team, but frankly, we don't often give enough credit and focus on what this role actually entails. The system champion is responsible for ensuring that all department heads are tracking or completing their tasks timely and effectively, ensuring that nothing slips through the cracks, and recommending solutions to fix those inefficiencies if they arise. Now, this individual should be an expert in your chosen system. Does anyone in your team come to mind? Are they able to bend your tech stack to your will and produce the metrics that you require? Because as you slowly remove yourself from the day-to-day, your sole objective would then to be generating new business or big picture thinking.
Jim would handle the day-to-day, and Michael, you would focus on clients and big picture stuff.
But how can you think big picture if you don't have the data to back it up? Now, here's the part that nobody wants to hear. If it's not documented, it doesn't exist. Because when your VA quits, when your ops manager gets hit by a bus, or find a better job offer, well then you need your playbook. Record Loom videos, build checklists, store SOPs somewhere searchable. Hell, even a Google Doc is better than memory, because every undocumented task is just a ticking time bomb. Okay, so now here's the fun part. Once you've mapped out your systems, assigned ownership, and documented your workflows, start removing yourself. Don't go cold turkey, of course, just step back one system at a time. First delivery, then marketing, then client onboarding, then whatever eats the most time out of your calendar. Let the systems that you've meticulously built take over. And if they break, good. There's a feedback loop. Fix it and it won't happen again. Now look, I'm not here to sell you on some fantasy where you sip cocktails on a beach while your business prints money, but I'm here to tell you this. If your business can't run without you, then it's not a business, it's a bottleneck. You either build systems or you stay stuck in survival mode. And if you want to help building these systems, especially the kind powered by HubSpot behind the scenes, you know where to find me. Now, if you have a system champion within your organization, that's terrific. Down below, you can find a link to my free weekly newsletter where I share unfiltered HubSpot tips and tricks for all HubSpot champions. Link down below. Until then, go design your system or give me a shout down below and we'll sort something out together. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourself. Opening up something like Miro here, we can see here that I've built out a very simple example of what a sales process might look like as you start to map things out, right? I like to call it a brain dump. So really, without thinking all that much, just regurgitate everything that you might have done or are currently doing within your process and just put it all out here for everyone to see. From there, you'll be able to identify any gaps, any loopholes, any areas where we have identified there's some sort of a dead branch or something unaccounted for. That's where we can start closing things off. But you can see here, I'm a very visual person, so everything is color-coded. All of the different segments are accounted for. We can see here, for example, when a new inquiry gets submitted, depending on where they're actually coming from in terms of the lead channels, because these days we've got leads and opportunities coming from all sorts of different places like paid ads, social media, your website through your blogs, for example, or a simple contact us form or a request a quote or whatever, or even some real life campaigns like you attended an expo or you went on some, just some marketing event in person. All of these different channels, I'm sure you've got a particular or unique set of ways where you like to nurture them in a particular way or assign it to a specific person in the team that actually manages a certain segment of your customer base. Put it all out here. Put it all out and you'll be able to clearly identify a plethora of different things. Either one, maybe that person is too inundated with tasks, they need some support. Number two, maybe a particular person is doing too little within the organization and they have the capacity to actually step up and do more things. Or perhaps you can then identify that, hey, this particular segment or this lead channel is really, really working for us and we want to attribute all of the close won deals or close lost deals to a particular channel, so then in the future you'll be able to reinvest or double down in a particular segment. So all of these things you can see here, for example, paid ads, it comes through, assign it to person A, send off an automated email with X, Y, and Z collateral, a particular video, for example, a link to somewhere else, an article, and then have a task for a team member to call in within one business day, for example. Now, if you're coming through a website, same thing, you can start to break up the inquiry type. For instance, if someone inquired about product A, then send them down this path and nurture them in a particular way because, for example, they could be a B2B kind of prospect and you handle that unique and different to if it was a B2C customer, or if they inquired about a particular product but they're based in another country or a different state, then a different team then takes over and handle it that in their own process or their own touch, right? All these things should be accounted for in this brain dump, right? Move on to the next stage here, lead qualification, for example. You get a task for person A to call. This could be a Slack message. Again, it could just be a task in your email. It could be a pop-up that lives in HubSpot, whatever it may be, right? Meeting booked, capture in particular properties that are important for you to make, again, managerial decisions moving forward. Is your business a cyclical kind of business where at these certain months, bookings just seem to skyrocket, and in other months, it's a little bit quiet? So then moving forward, when you are sipping your drinks in the beach, you can look back and say that, hey, in these months, we could get someone to go on holiday, or we need to hire more people to kind of take on the workload, right? Capturing all these properties or data points as you progress along your sales operations life cycles can help you to reinforce your thinking. Next step could be, again, lead qualification or during the meeting. So if when someone actually books in a meeting with you guys, probably there's two outcomes, right? There's it completes successfully, that's great. Obviously ideal situation. You then send off a proposal, easy peasy, move on to the next step naturally. But what happens if it's a no-show? What is the process for following up with that prospect that you spend so much money and time to acquire in the first place? If you just let it die or rely on memory of a particular person to actually diligently follow up with that particular lead, well then guess what? Your customer acquisition cost or your CAC to actually acquire that just goes down the drain, right? You spend 40, 50 bucks, I don't know, depending on your industry, to acquire that customer. The time it took for your sales rep to do any sort of research or making a custom template, and then they didn't show up for the meeting, and then it just dies out. Like, what happens then, right? So account for all of these dead branches. Lastly, proposal sent, send a Slack message, for example. Congratulate everyone, yay, send a GIF about, that it's actually been completed. And then if it's a no-show, for example, a sales manager needs to follow up. Maybe the CEO, you will get looped in if someone didn't show up 5 times, for example. And then close one, proceed with onboarding, for example, right? And then only move a deal to this particular stage if your DocuSign or Panadoc has been completed with all the necessary properties, and then notify finance, send 0 invoice, something like that, right? So this is pretty powerful, and that's pretty much the whole gist of what this process map looks like per silo of your business, per function of your business.